Hey, welcome to Taylor's Trick Taking Table. I'm Taylor, and standard disclaimer, this video is a part of a series on all the claim factions and such, and the playlist for it will be in the description. We'll link to all the other videos. And at the end of it all, I'll rank my favorite factions and boxes and stuff. And I'm assuming for all the videos besides the main claim video that you know how to play claim. And also, in the critique of the factions, I might be a little bit redundant or repetitive video to video, but bear with me. Anyway, without much further ado, let's go to the video. Hey, welcome to Taylor's Trick Taking Table. I'm Icarus, and whoa, it is so bright today. But I guess that works out because we are covering the claim expansion Reinforcements Sun, which, ooh, wow, kind of lit up nicely. I am gonna go to the table, show you how the factions work, and then we're gonna come back here. I'm gonna change some of this lighting, maybe get some sunglasses, and I will teach you my thoughts. I'll teach you my thoughts. Yeah. Okay, Taylor. Okay. All right, see you in a little bit. For Reinforcements Sun, we'll start with the first faction, which is the joint faction of Sun Monks and Star Monks. And how those work is if a player leads a Sun Monk, the other player has to follow suit with a Star Monk. So if this was the other player's hand, they would have to play one of these, and they can't play this one. So they maybe play a 2, and you only follow suit when you play the opposite one. So this case, this 2 is actually in suit, and they would have won this trick. Conversely, if a star was led, only a sun can be played, so only one of these 2 cards can be played. So this person can play that 6, and then also this person would have won that trick. If, in this example, this 2 of Star Monks was played, and these 2 cards weren't in that player's hand, and they only had these Star Monks here, this wouldn't win the trick, because it's considered offsuit, because you're meant to play a Sun Monk. And the same can be said if a Sun Monk is led and the other person only has Sun Monks, this is considered offsuit. The profit cards only matter in phase 2, and in that phase, it changes who wins the trick depending on if each player's score pile has a total number of runes. Runes are underneath the faction symbol here, and they're on all of the odds of the profits and on none of the evens. So let's say this was the start of phase 2 here, and this person leads a profit, and that person follows suit with 3 and wins it, so they have those 2. This does not trigger the special ability yet. You need 3 total runes in each player's win pile, so maybe this person plays an 8, and this person plays a 7. So now it would have triggered, as in the next trick would matter, because there's 3 total runes, and again, it's 3 total runes in either player's score pile. So if this person would have won that, now the lower one wins. So say if this person leads, and this person follows, the 2 would win now, because there are at least 3 runes in both players' score pile. So this person over here, who played the 2, would actually win that trick instead of the 5. For the Sandworm faction, the twist is you always play Sandworms just face down. So if it was led, it would go like this, and the person who had to follow suit with maybe this Sandworm would also play face down. Of course, the second person can always just play face up, because you would just reveal it right away. So it's really, for being technical here, only the lead of a Sandworm has to play face down, and then you would reveal. Finally, the Scorpion faction has to do with this Scorpion deck here, and it's made up of -1 through 5, and then a +3. So at the start of the game, this is just going to get shuffled and set to the side, and whenever a Scorpion is won in phase 2, so either, let's say this person played a 4 Scorpion and that person played a 0 following suit, and that was 1. The winner of the trick will flip the top card over here, and that is going to change the value of the card they play next. So say, for example, they played the 10 Star Monk. This is now a 9 Star Monk. And this happens when any Scorpion is part of the winning trick. So let's say this person led the 10 Star Monk, and over here they didn't have any Sun Monks, and they off-suited this 5 Scorpion. This player would win this trick, and then since they won a Scorpion in the second phase, they would flip this, and now that would also apply to their next card. And it's just in the next trick, it doesn't stay. So after that happens, they would just discard this. And if this deck ever runs out, you just shuffle this and go again. Hey, welcome back. For you just watched future me teach you how to play this expansion. But for me, I just watched a light bulb for what felt like 30 million takes, and I can't see anything. It feels like those old flash cameras, that just give you snow blindness, effectively. So, getting used to seeing again. Yes, here it is. Okay. Claim. Reinforcements Sun. Yes, great, awesome. Before we go into the factions, I do want to say this had horrible typos, maybe, in a way. Some production goofs that kind of wrecked some of the games we played. So, first off, The player aid says reinforcements sky, even though it's not sun. Not a big deal, haha, hoo-hoo. The other issue, which was actually the big issue, is that they swapped the symbol in the rules and on the player guide for the sun monks and the prophets. So as you can see there, there's sun monks, star monks, but they have the star and then the sun down here. And then the prophets, they have the prophets symbol up here. So I guess this makes more sense if I just show you some of the cards again. This just broke the first game we had where we were playing these as if they were the prophets, and it was just super confusing because the deck makeup didn't make sense and they didn't have the runes on them, which is like the whole prophets shtick. So yeah, oof, maybe they'll fix that. I don't know if this is even being published in the States, but boo. Okay, but let's move on to the factions now, and let's start with the dual faction sun and star monks. And what's interesting is when I'm reading the rules or how a new faction works in Claim, sometimes they'll come across as just gimmicky or just silly. Like I've played enough Claim to be like, yeah, this is just dumb. But sometimes I'm surprised. So like this is what happened with the Sun and the Star Monks. I read them and I was like, okay, you play one faction and it has to be followed by another faction, but they're the same, so it's not too interesting sounding. And the first phase, it is just kind of as you expected, like not that interesting. But what's cool about the second phase, which you don't expect, is if you lead, a sun monk, and they have to follow suit with a star monk, and you win, you're winning 2 factions. You're winning a card of each. So it's wild because if you have just a really strong, sun or star hand, you can win 2 factions, essentially. Because it's like you're winning and splitting the wins on 2 factions. And that made for a really interesting dynamic. I remember the first time I played these, I was only weak in one of them, but that was the one the other person was strong in. So they ran it, and they were just taking all of my other stars from me. So they essentially won 2 factions just like right away. And it was really cool to see my expectations subverted on something that seems so simple. And just like Claim sometimes does this, where it's like they're changing things up for almost like changing them up sake. Like there's one of the locations in Claim where it's just like, oh, the winner actually is the one who draws from the top of the deck as opposed to the loser in the first phase. And it's like, okay, it doesn't really change much up. It's just like a perception thing. And I thought that's what this was going to be, but it isn't. It's really cool how in the phase 2 you can win 2 factions. So it makes those specific factions really interesting. Next up is Prophets. And I like this one too. I felt like the push and pull of the runes not only was going to be different each game you play, because again, classic Claim, a lot of the runes could have just been in the first phase so they don't impact the later phase. But it was cool because that would change how you would draft the Prophets. I liked how the trigger of changing it to lower made you play your Prophets in a different order than you normally would. The only critique I would have was it triggers at 3 runes, 1 in either player score pile. I felt like a little too many, especially because you need at least 2 tricks of the Prophets, and I found on average each faction only has 2 or 3 tricks, so I almost wish it was 2. And I guess this is classic Taylor, I just wish this faction triggered more. Might be a running theme for me, is just I wish the factions would be cooler in Claim, or they are cool, I just want to see them, I want to see their coolness more. But yeah, really cool though. I like this one overall. The Sandworms was great. It's just a very clean, nice little twist. I like when the rules and when you're teaching the faction in Claim, it's just everyone gets it. They get why it's cool. They get why it's simple. The fact that you can play face down, you don't know if you're going to win or lose. Choice. I think it was more interesting in phase 2 because in phase 1 you can kind of tell if someone doesn't want the card or not just by if you don't want the card or not. So if something comes up and it's a really low or really bad card and someone plays a Sandworm face down, they're probably playing a low Sandworm. So it kind of takes out the mystery or surprise of the Sandworms faction. So the first phase, I thought the Sandworm faction was just eh. But the second phase, that's the good stuff. I like that a lot. So first phase, eh. Second phase, nice. And the last one is Scorpions. I really like this one. I always like Claim factions that handle the offsuit kind of nature of Claim, where you don't want to play the card that they don't have because you can get sloughed, a Scorpion, which was really, really nice. I liked it thematically for the most part, that, you know, you win a scorpion and you get stung, except it kind of takes a hit because I get mechanically it's cool to have a positive in here, but it kind of doesn't make any sense. I guess it adds to like the push your luck of like, you know what, I will lead a hide scorpion and maybe I'll get a positive. And I guess since it is like, you know what's in the deck and it doesn't get shuffled until after, it'd be kind of fun if like, you know, there's a -2 and a +3, you kind of like push your luck that way. But I felt like this was cool. It was almost like a less permanent version of the mermaids, which we'll get to later, but effectively the mermaids are, for each mermaid you win, it's -1 to all your cards played later, as opposed to now, or like in the scorpion, where if you win a scorpion at all, the next card is, you know, plus or minus whatever this number comes out. So it was cool. I like the fact that it made it to where in the second round you don't just want to keep playing something you know they're out of, because they can start sluffing you scorpions and making you lose. So yeah, I like this one a lot. So overall, Reinforcement Sun, really solid. I don't think there's a dud in the bunch. I mean, the classic, like, I wish some of these powers would just trigger more. But overall, like, some nice, fun twists, some factions that are easy to explain and just great wrinkle right away, which I love. And then some that kind of grow on you or have a little bit more nuance than you're expecting. So yeah, thanks so much for watching.